Alright, so welcome back to Reese's Wellness Journey. And if you've been following the gardening season, then you know, I think 2 days ago, I asked the question, do you have a worm composting bin for your garden? So I'm getting ready to make one. So I got 3 buckets. And in our first bucket, we're not going to do anything to it. This bucket will just catch the liquid that the worms produce or the food. Once the food starts to decompose, it'll get wet and it'll drip into this bucket. So this bucket will have no holes in it. And this bucket is food grade so that no chemicals will get to your worms, get to your compost that you would eventually put out into your garden. So let's get started. So to create your worm tower, you're gonna need some funky gadgets. So I got a drill, and the first drill bit is 1/16 of an inch. And we're gonna drill holes. I'll show you in this bucket. I'm gonna drill holes all around up in here, and that's so that the worms can get some air. And then we got a 1/4 inch drill bit, and that is for the bottom of the other 2 buckets. And that way the worms will be able to travel between the 2 buckets to get their food. They'll create their poop, and they'll have holes for the liquid to drain out in the bottom. All right, so let's get busy with having a little bit of fun before we put our worms in the buckets. All right, but the other things that you're gonna need is some coconut core. So this is like the brown part of the coconut, and it's just broken down, and it just looks like, I don't know if you can see, but it looks like fluffy dirt, but it's part of the coconut. So it's all natural, it's organic. And I got some cardboard. Worms eat cardboard, so you can use cardboard. Try to find something that hasn't been, like cardboard that hasn't been chemically processed if you can. Your Amazon boxes is very good to put in your worm bin. So that's a good one. I got this tight knots in this bag. So I got all this cardboard. So I'm just gonna finish tearing it up, and while we're fixing up the buckets, I'm gonna wet the cardboard so that it's kind of moist, and I'm gonna wet the cocoa core so that it's moist too. You'd want your worm bed to have moisture, but you don't want it to be so wet. So it has to be a balance. So I'm gonna go off camera and get the cardboard and the cocoa core wet, and I'll be back. All right, so we're back. Don't worry about this bag. We got some more getting wet. All right, so now I'm taking my drill with my 1/16 drill bit, and I'm drilling holes all around the top of the bucket, so that way the worms have ventilation, the food don't get to stinking and rotten, and the holes are small enough that other bugs won't come in and try to eat and create some other mess. If you start to see your worms trying to come out of your holes, something's wrong with your farm. You need to take care of that. So Give me a few minutes. I'm gonna speed up the camera as I drill these holes. Alright, so I don't know if you can see, but I got the top holes drilled in bucket number 1. Now I'm about to take my 1/4" drill bit and drill holes in the bottom of the bucket. And I'm gonna do the second bucket too. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the rest of the holes in the rest of the buckets, and then I will be back. Alright, so I got the first bucket done. Moving on to the second bucket. This time, instead of using a drill bit, I'm gonna use a spade bit. And this one is 3/8, so the hole will be just a little bit bigger. So we'll see how the worms do in each bin. Okay, so I'll be right back. Alright, so got my buckets drilled. Some holes at the bottom of my bucket. But what I am going to have to do is go back in the house and find some sandpaper, because inside there's like the plastic is burnt, so I have to sand the inside of the bucket so that get all the pieces of plastic out. And then we can put our cocoa cord and cardboards in the buckets. And then we can put the worms in there. So what I did was I ordered my worms from Amazon, from Uncle Jim's Worm Farm. I got 250 worms. They cost me $34, but I'm gonna end up getting another 500. 500 is $36, which I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place. But they say you should start with about 500 to 1,000 worms for a 3-bucket system. So I'm gonna get 500 more, so that'll give me a total of 750, which I'm pretty sure some probably have died in transit. They were delivered, I'll show you the bag, but they were delivered in like a pouch, looked like a Crown Royal bag, except it wasn't velvet, but it's got worms on it. But so I got 750. I'm expecting maybe 25 to 50 to die, just because they were just in a bag with, I believe, a little bit of cocoa cure. So they haven't eaten in or had any water for probably 2 to 3 days, because I ordered them, got them Friday, I ordered them Tuesday, got them yesterday. So I just let them sit in the house so that their bodies could get back to room temperature, maybe, because I don't know how their condition was traveling on the back of a UPS truck. They did have 2 holes in the box for air holes, but the bag is tied up, and it kind of maybe looks like not Crown Royal, but landscaping fabric is probably more so what it looks like. And I'm not going to feed the worms today. They'll just eat the cocoa cure for a week, and then I'll give them some lettuce. They're going to be vegan, so they won't have no dairy, no meat, no oil, none of that. They have fruits and vegetables and cardboard and paper. They can eat your bills. So if you're trying to get rid of your bills, you can shred your bills up and put them in your worm composting bucket, and they'll eat that and do what they do, produce their castings. All right, so I'm about to go get some sandpaper so I can sand the inside of the bucket down, and then I'll put my cocoa cure in there, and I will be right back again. All right, so I'm back. my husband didn't have no sandpaper, so I had to go to the next best thing, my daddy. So I went over to my daddy's house and I got some sandpaper from him, and I sandpapered out my bucket. And now I'll show you. I put the cocoa core in the bucket with the cardboard, and this is what it looks like. And so you want it to be able to kind of ball up, but you still want it to be moist but not damp. You don't want no water squeezing out of it. So then you're just going to put that bucket into the bucket with no hose, and I'll be right back. I'm about to go in the house and get the worms. Alright, so I got my worms. I'm about to put my gloves on because yes, I'm scared to touch them. When I was a kid, I used to play with worms all the time. I would put them in jars. I would find them in my grandfather's garden. I would bring them in the house. I would show my mama while she was still in the bed. Look at this worm. We're gonna have breakfast with the worms. I would put them in baby food jars and sit them on the kitchen table. All right, so this is how they come. I don't hear nothing. I don't feel nothing moving, but it's not real thick. Like the dirt or the worms come up to right there. And it's supposed to be 250 worms in here. And I'm gonna dump them out into the cocoa core. First, I'm gonna put a little bit more water in there. No, it feel just right. But this is the only thing they're gonna eat this week. Well, they said don't feed them for like a week or two, but I feel that might be a little bit too long. I might feed them Tuesday or Wednesday. And I've been saving my bananas and mango peels. All right, so let's see. Take out this glove. I'm gonna dump them in, and I'm gonna try to show you as I do it. Just hope none ain't at this top right here. All right, I'm gonna switch my camera. All right, I'm trying to put my glove back on, and we're gonna see how we do this. Try not to pinch them in the bag, but let's see. And you can see they are moving. I'm trying to get out the sun so you can see them. They're moving. They're still alive, and they'll just bury themselves down into the dirt. I'm gonna stick them kind of out in the sun, but they look like they're going down on their own. That's what they look like. They'll eat the cocoa core, and in a couple of days I'll give them some lettuce or banana peels, mangoes. But once they get used to the bucket, then that's when you start giving them their food. And that is the worm tower. We'll put a lid on them, and that is it. And then once they start pooping and they fill up the other bucket, all right. And the water that I use spring water. You probably don't want to use Cincinnati tap water. If you do, let the water sit outside in a bucket or in a, I'll say a bucket or a flower pot or something. But let it sit out there for like 2 or 3 days, so that way the chlorine evaporate out the water. You don't want to give that to the worms. It's what I've been told. So my worms are getting spring water for right now until I catch some rainwater or let some water sit out for a couple of days. So in the meantime, I wet my cardboard and my cocoa with spring water. All right, so that is our red wiggler worm tower. That's what it looks like. So that's 2 buckets. Once the one gets filled with castings, then we'll put the 3rd bucket on there. But for the most part right now, it's just these 2. And we got our seedlings. I bought some more seed potatoes today. I got some collard greens today. I'm about to go out into the flower bed and I'm going to move the dirt from one side to the other just so I can start planting now, and then next week I'll get my last scoop of dirt and then I'll just fill in the other half. But in the meantime, I can get some stuff growing. Got the grow bags. The potatoes are starting to bud. I'll take y'all out there and let y'all see what those look like. So I just didn't feel that the worms were moving fast enough, so I'm misting them with a spray bottle. Just making sure that the cocoa core is moist. And it all looks to be well. They're all going down into the cocoa core. I might add some more cocoa core. Just had some delivered from Amazon. So, but here's our lid. We'll go ahead and put the lid on. And it don't have to be on super tight because I don't feel like they won't be coming up no time soon. And the water that I use spring water. You probably don't want to use Cincinnati tap water. If you do, let the water sit outside in a bucket or in a, I'll say a bucket or a flower pot or something. But let it sit out there for like 2 or 3 days so that way the chlorine evaporate out the water. You don't want to give that to the worms. It's what I've been told. So my worms are getting spring water for right now until I catch some rainwater or let some water sit out for a couple of days. So in the meantime, I wet my cardboard and my cocoa with spring water. All right, so that is our red wiggler worm tower. That's what it looks like. So that's 2 buckets. Once the one gets filled with castings, then we'll put the 3rd bucket on there. But for the most part right now, it's just these 2. Yep, look at my weeds in my garden. Well, this is the yard. And what I'm doing is I'm going to put landscaping fabric down and we're just going to get rid of the grass. And this is what the flower bed looks like. We took some leaves that we had raked up and I put some leaves over in there. And we'll put the rest of the dirt in here. All right, so this is the first bag. And you see there's a flower coming. This is the ginger and it hasn't, no leaves have sprouted up yet. And this is the second bag with potatoes and those flowers. That's what they're supposed to look like. This one, I wanted to see what it looked like if I kept it covered with leaves. So as far as I can tell, it's doing good. We'll see soon. All right, we'll be back next week.